Hi everybody, welcome back. Tony again with Shinsho Yoga, and for this video I would like to talk a little bit about advanced, or not necessarily advanced, but alternate uses for your strap. And just quickly address a couple people had mentioned to me who do watch my videos that they haven't seen as many uploaded as recently. I apologize. The videos take time to do, and I have had to focus on other areas, primarily paying bills. So I try to get one about once a month out now. Unfortunately, I can't do them as often as I did before, but once a month at least, to be able to keep going with everybody, and anybody that watches and enjoys what I do and appreciates it. Just a thank you to everybody who's stuck with it. So, talk a little bit this week about our strap. So, one of the issues that I found in yoga is sometimes people think props are for, someone who can't do postures. And that is not the case. Props are there to help you get into the full expression of the posture when maybe your body isn't fully ready to do that. You have to take your ego out of the equation when you do that and use the prop as necessary. I always, and I have videos on props, whenever I practice, I always have a blanket and 2 blocks with me, no matter what I'm doing, whether I'm at home or I'm in studio. The different places that I teach, a lot of places don't have props anymore just due to, with the COVID and everything that happened, they got rid of them. They didn't want a possible transmission of any disease, so you have to bring your own, and I always bring 2 blocks, a blanket, and a strap. So let's talk about the strap today and some alternative uses for the strap. Generally, you'll find people using a strap to be able to get into postures, again, like any of the other props, they can't get into on their own, right? The full expression of the posture. But you don't want to do the pose halfway. You want to be able to do the full pose, so you use the strap. Often they're used in binds, so a lot of times if you're trying to do what we call the elephant ear, coming around behind here and your hands can't touch in the back, you use the strap here to be able to do that. In positions like Utthita Parsvakasana, extended side angle, if you want to come into the bind. If you're doing hand-to-toe pose, pulling the arm out and the foot out, right? You can't really reach, you grab that around. Dancer's posture, you can't really get back and kick out, so you use a strap. But straps can be used other ways also. And in my classes, about every 6 or 7 weeks, at this point I've pretty much come to that point where I do what I call a strap class. And what I do is I use the strap in our standard everyday postures to be able to make it an active posture. Generally, all we do in yoga is going to be passive postures, right? That's the concept of the postures that we do, is that we get into the posture, we relax into the posture, and then we let the pose do the work, right? When we're doing a forward fold, we're not trying to reach down and grab our feet. We let gravity do the work and let ourselves just relax and hang in the posture. But there are things that you can do in the posture to change how the posture hits certain muscles and works different parts of the body. And what I like to do is use a strap to be able to activate legs and arms in certain postures to be able to change how it does it. Right? So the example here. What I do is I like to have my students take their strap and use it and put it into a loop. Right? And when we're using it on this loop, you're going to put it around the wrists. Right? That's a little too tight. Right? So that when you press out on the strap, you are about in line with the shoulders. Right? You don't want it so wide that, loosen that there. When you're doing it, you're pressing out and you're kind of coming out a little bit more past it. You want it a little bit tight because you're going to be active in the posture. And you're going to press out, right, with the hands. Right? And when we press out with the hands like this can be used in any type of posture where we bring the arms above our head. So in Urdhva Hastasana, upward facing hands, right? The hands come over the head, right? We still relax the shoulders, but we press out at the wrists on the strap. What this does is an activation of the arms and down into the shoulders. It makes it more of an active posture. Still has a passive way to it in that I'm not reaching or stretching. I'm still allowing my shoulders to be relaxed, but the pressing out and the resistance in the strap activates the muscle. Right? And this creates a little bit more opening through those muscles and down into the shoulders. It creates more of a strength building exercise through the resistance. And also what it does is it's going to get the blood moving more. You will, and using a strap in an active posture like that is going to burn more calories, right? So you are going to get more of a vigorous workout just from something as simple as that. So by taking that strap, having it tight around the hands, or excuse me, on the wrist, and pressing out with the hands, any overhead arm posture you can use this in. So using it in Urdhva Hastasana, upward facing hands, right? Use it in Warrior 1, Virabhadrasana 1, right? You can use it in a high lunge, right? Any posture where the arms are coming over the head, right? You can just use that. And it can stay through your whole sun breath sequence. So as you fold forward and come into a forward fold, right? As you fold, you keep that pressure on the wrists, right? Keeping that out. So again, we're active, coming into a halfway lift, right? You come into halfway lift, you do the same thing, right? You're going to keep that pressure out on the hands. So that is one way to be able to use a strap. Using it around the arms, right? For any position where your hands are going to be going up and down in the same thing. Upward facing hands, forward fold, halfway lift, Warrior 1, a high lunge. Anywhere where the arms go above the head, you can use that. The other way you can do it is use it around the feet. And the same thing, it's actually around the ankles. So just as you would go around the wrists, you're going to go around the ankles here. And you would do the same thing. So you going around the ankles, you're going to be pressing out with the ankles when you do this, right? So you can use this in any posture where you're not going to be stepping forward or back. So using it for, say, something like downward facing dog. So you would have, if you're a teacher, have your students place it around the ankles before you step back. If you're a student, needless to say, doing the same thing, right? And then you activate the feet here, right? Pressing out on the ankles. So we're pressing out here on our ankles. I got a slippery spot on my mat there, right? And we're activating the whole side of the body there. We're activating the outside of the legs. And you can still stay that way as you roll forward to a plank. Keep activating the legs, right? Press back to down dog. Keep the legs active, roll out to plank, press back to down dog. Right? By doing that, once again, it does the same thing that you would do with the arms above the head, in that by keeping those legs active, you're getting some resistance in there, which is going to activate more strength building. It's going to be able to get more movement, right? Excuse me, apologize there. More blood flowing, right? Because it's more active in a subtle manner. And also by really activating the outside here, you're going to have a different feeling of opening throughout the body. Now, if you're a teacher, how do you incorporate that? Well, you have to really plan your flow out, right? Because you don't want to disrupt the flow and have students, halfway through, in one thing, like you don't want to have them in, postures that are using it and then try to dump it out and be like, okay, get rid of it now. I plan my flow out when I use it that way, in that when I'm having the students use it on their legs, I focus on there, and then I'll have them take it off and maybe move it to the front of the mat. And then when the next movements we're using that, I have them focus on using that at the front of the mat. So I'll move the strap from the front to the back. But it's within the flow to keep it moving as a flow and doesn't make it awkward or jaunty, that it's just kind of jumping around. As a student, if your teacher is not telling you to do that, I wouldn't say necessarily just throwing it on there and doing it that way. You really need to go to a class the class that's teaching it that way, because that energy, believe it or not, that you bring in there doing it that way is going to throw other students off, and they're not going to be sure what to do. And that's a group class. That's the way it works. There's a certain amount of moving with the group that needs to be done, a certain amount of solo practice that needs to be done, and it's a balance. So just a little bit today on an alternative way to use your strap. So if you are practicing at home and you want to be able to get a little more activity in certain postures, that's one way for the shoulders and for the legs to be able to do that. If you're a teacher creating flows and maybe you've reached a point where you're like, I feel kind of stale in my flow and I'm not sure what to do, here's a way to be able to change what you're doing by still doing the same thing. As I learned from my teacher, you don't have to make huge adjustments in your flow to change the entire feel of it. You can just small things. You can do your basic, what I would call your toolbox flow, the one that when someone calls you up to cover a class that you just grab out and go, here's this one, and incorporate the strap in that active way, and it'll change it. So, I hope that was beneficial to you. As always, take from that what serves you, get rid of the rest. And just breathe and follow your breath. Let the thoughts arise, pass by, and return to the breath. Thanks again for watching. Namaste.